It's the 10th of October and it's time for the 10th film in my 31 Horrors of Mike. So today I want to talk about a film which I think is often forgotten. It's called The Reptile. It was released in 1966 by Hammer Studios, directed by John Gilling, who directed Plague of the Zombies and The Reptile back to back for Hammer Studios, and it stars actors such as Noel Willman, Jennifer Daniel, Michael Ripper. And it doesn't have the same sort of big names like Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, etc. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why it has been pretty much forgotten by a lot of fans of film. Now, I love the Hammer era, I really do. It stretches from the Hammer horror era, which stretches from the late 50s through to the 1970s. But people tend to focus on Dracula, Frankenstein, Curse of Werewolf, the films which were unofficial remakes of the Universal films from the 30s and 40s, and using the classic horror monsters that we all know. But on a number of occasions, Hammer tried to do something a little bit different, go out on their own and create a mythos of their own. They did that with The Abominable Snowman, which I reviewed last year. Great little horror film. The Gorgon, even films like The Devil Rides Out, and this film, The Reptile. Now, The Reptile is set in a small Cornish village where a number of the villagers are being found dead, and they've been frothed at the mouth and their skin has turned black, so people automatically believe that it's the Black Death. However, when one of the villagers dies, his brother and his fiancée arrive to set up home in the village and to also find out what happened to him. And it's made pretty clear that the villagers are covering something up. There is a darkness, there's a creature lurking in the shadows in this small village, and the villagers don't want to recognise it, they don't want to talk about it. The only two that do is a villager who many people believe is this sort of bumbling fool, and another who is a local publican who runs an inn and a pub, who are willing to help them discover what's happened. And that's really the setup for the film. What is this creature, and what are they going to do about it? So it follows the same sort of idea as many Hammer films, where you have this monster, and it does have a lot in common with the Gorgon, in that the Gorgon used Greek mythology to create or use a monster in film, and the Reptile went into sort of Indian culture. I think it was Indian culture, to certainly Eastern culture, to try and come up with another creature. And it's an interesting movie. It's not the greatest film in Hammer's filmography, but it's certainly one which I think is unfortunately forgotten. But it should be remembered, because it's got that great Hammer horror atmosphere, you know, the period atmosphere that Hammer horror films had, and it's got some great performances in it, even though it doesn't have Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee in it, and the monster effects are good. It owes a lot to someone like Val Lewton, who we talked about earlier, in terms of, although you do see the monster a lot more than you would in a Val Lewton film, it's certainly, for large parts of the film, it's about building tension as to what this thing is and where it is, what's the story behind it. And the criticism I would have of the film is that the conclusion doesn't work too well. There are some leaps in logic. You don't have... There is one thing that's interesting that they do. They shift from the hero to a heroine in the last half hour of the film, and that's quite interesting. But normally in the Hammer horror, I don't know what that is, the Hammer horror films, we're used to the hero throughout the whole film coming in and confronting the creature. We don't get that as much here, and yeah, there are some things that don't really make sense at the end of it. It actually feels as if perhaps they were writing the scenes at the end of the film as they were going along. There's a bit of exposition which is put in to explain what the creature is, and while it's a really interesting idea, it doesn't really make sense, because someone's trying to destroy the creature and then they say they're not trying to destroy it, and it's just a little bit strange towards the end. But it's still a really worthwhile film, and while it's not the best Hammer horror film ever made. Because it's forgotten and because it is still of a high quality, in my opinion, it's definitely one that you should check out. So that's The Reptile. I'll be back tomorrow with another horror review, and I hope you're all having a good day. And as always, leave some suggestions below. I'm watching some of the films that you've recommended to me, and they're already in my list. So if you have more recommendations, let me know. Bye for now.